seeking is a blessing from God.
You must expect a miracle.
You have the power of choice.
Believe on the Lord Jesus Christ.
Welcome to Life Today Live. I'm not live today, I'm on vacation, but I got some special shows for you. This is the set of The Chosen. They're shooting right over there, a scene for season 3 right now. And I get to sit down with some of the cast and crew from The Chosen today. So stick around and enjoy this program. I'm here with Elizabeth Tabish, who plays Mary Magdalene in the series, The Chosen series, and great to talk to you, by the way.
Thank you.
But so I was excited because your character is one of the most loved characters in the series.
That's nice to hear.
Truly. But I'm curious, what do you love about the character?
Oh, that's the first time I think I've been asked that. So much. I love how human she is, first of all, how relatable she is. And I think the biggest thing is how much she wants to be changed, how much she wants to be in a place of joy, and how hard it is for her to do that. And despite how hard it is, she keeps trying. Like every day, she's doing absolutely everything she can to hold on to that joy, and the maintaining this hope in her life. And I think the writers have done this wonderful job of showing how difficult that actually is. You can be redeemed and still just struggle constantly with your past or your fears, anxieties, shame, like how human that is. Despite it all, she's like still really trying, really working hard at holding on to that hope.
I know this is a little tough because you're portraying Bible characters,
Yeah.
and these mean more to
Yeah.
people than Avengers or something like that. Fictional characters. How has it been playing such a pivotal character in this series for you personally? I mean, is it just another acting job, or is there some kind of connection? Has it impacted you in any way?
It's first of all, it's like the role of my dreams.
Really?
This is something this is a type of character I've wanted to play forever, since I could remember wanting to act, which is like I was a child, I've been so disappointed with a lot of female characters that are written as very one-dimensional figures, or just meant to be looked at or pretty or whatever. This character has so much emotional depth and psychological complexity, and is a very real woman that, as I'm finding out from the feedback, like so many people, so many women relate to. So it's a gift to be able to play this, because I'm enjoying playing a character like this, but then also in a more personal way, I am honored to represent, or to play a character that represents so many women, and to represent, sure, the pain that they've gone through, but also the hope that they can be changed and live a new life.
Yeah, no, I think that is what your character offers the most to people is hope.
Yes, yes.
Is hope. And in fact, you had the clincher moment, I think, for a lot of people just getting into this series. Because, we hear this is Christian series about Jesus, which doesn't always conjure up great images in people's minds.
Sure, yeah.
And then you watch episode 1 of season 1, and it's kind of going along like, I'm not sure, what am I watching here? And when it ends, that moment with you and the guy, the Jesus character, that you got people at that moment. How did it feel when you saw that come together?
Oh, it was, in performing it, I was really nervous that, the pressure is, of course, like, this moment has to work. This whole episode has to work, or else, you don't hook the audience for the next 3 episodes, and then the whole series after that.
Right.
So the pressure to, do this right was real. But I kept trying to not focus on that and just focus on what a wonderfully written character this is, and what a beautiful story this is. And and to just kind of focus on the scenes and the the present moment within each of those scenes. So when I was doing it, I was nervous, and then when I watched the whole thing edited together, I was just so pleased to be a part of it. It was the first time. You sign up for something, you never know the quality of things.
No.
And so seeing it, I'm like, oh, this is such a good production team and editors and the music, and I was just like, thank you.
Yeah. Well, and most people don't realize that you don't really know as an actor how it's going until you see the finished product.
Sure. You don't know the tone of it. You don't know if you're hitting the right sort of mood or any of that.
The one more pivotal thing that I have to ask you about, a scene. There's a line where your character falls away.
Yes, yeah.
And when invited to come back, says, he fixed me once.
But I broke again.
Broke again. I mean, that's so many people. That's their sticking point.
It's what we all go through, isn't it? I mean, I think it's the most realistic depiction of someone who is striving to be good and to change and it's so human. And I think the misconception of being saved or of finding God is that like it's smooth sailing from here on out, and it's not true. We're still in this world. We're still going to be challenged and triggered, and we're going to keep making mistakes. We're just human. That's what we do. And I think it was this really wonderful like teaching moment to see that yes, you are going to make mistakes, but you are still loved and you're still forgiven, and so much of redemption comes from wanting to come back, wanting a life of joy and pursuing it,
And being able to, and not living in the shame. That's what I saw. So I
really letting
that.
go of the past. Yeah,
Love it. Thank you for pouring yourself into the role.
Oh, thank you.
Because it's speaking to a lot of people on very deep levels beyond just a production. Is there anything you want to add before I bail out of here?
Oh no, these were lovely questions. Thank you.
Great, thank you. I'm here with Ryan Swanson and Tyler Thompson, who, together with Dallas Jenkins, write all of The Chosen. Great to talk to both of you guys.
Thanks for having us.
All right, let's start with the obvious elephant in the room. You're writing about Bible characters, but you're adding things about them to kind of fill in the blanks because we don't know all these details. How do you figure out what are we going to include, what are we not going to include? Either one of you.
So, we've got this wonderful concept that we're working with. All right, so we come in as reverent to the Bible. We want the biblical events to shine, and I think that one of the fun things about when Dallas and Tyler brought the idea to me was that they had cracked this particular way in where we would use the characters who were less written about, who were present for the events as both surrogates for our audience and as subjects for our drama. And through that space in the margins, we then could view the actions of Jesus. And we could do it through an objective lens because these were characters who were separate from, they had no knowledge of what Jesus was going to do next, that they got to explore his ministry real time. And we also got to sort of dig into the fissures in their characters, their own vulnerabilities. And so we create drama from the human perspective while in the presence of Jesus. And so we try to live through these things real time. We instead of being just plot bots for us to move from point A to point B as Jesus goes through his ministry, we chose through this lens, the shepherd providing the blueprint for how we would move forward. We got to treat them like real people and get to know them like real people. So their choices then became clearer to us. You know, we could lead a character to a binary value choice: stay or go, fight or flight, and so that would make sense. Always leading, of course, to the places in the Bible, and we, of course, those moments are untouchable for us. We try to we portray them as truly as we can.
Yeah, yeah. So your characters are very human, even humorous at times, right? Where does that come from? Because that it's enjoyable from a viewing standpoint, but it's real. I mean, and this is how hardworking blue collar kind of guys would have been most likely.
Yeah, humor is human, as you said. Like we don't want to portray these sort of wooden figures who maybe in previous adaptations of the Bible, well-intentioned adaptations, they might have just been 12 disciples just kind of lined up one after the other, all looking the same, all appearing the same, and barely saying anything. We have because The Chosen is a multi-season endeavor. We have the time and space to explore. Oh, Nathaniel, it's clear from Scripture. He's got kind of he speaks kind of. He's very blatant and he's very frank in the way he talks. He's the one who says, "Can anything good come out of Nazareth?" He just kind of says whatever comes to his mind. So that's fun to work with. We know by looking at Matthew's gospel that it's a very detailed, fastidious account. It begins with the genealogy of all things. And so exploring the idea of Matthew as someone being on the autism spectrum brings a lot of life there. So the characters are all very human. And within humanity, a common experience as common as sorrow or boredom or anticipation is humor. And so the characters, they are funny. And actually also, that's not a stretch. If you read the Bible really closely, if you really kind of look at the words, it'll make you chuckle. Like there's humor in the Gospels. We're not completely inventing it.
Yeah, sure. Well, and here's the thing I think that strikes most people. Jesus has a sense of humor.
Yeah.
How do you handle that? Because that's a delicate thing, right?
It is. And we always take our lead from Dallas. We've talked about how how we imagine Jesus has changed. I mean, Dallas might not say that, but for me, I've suddenly infused two other perspectives, and it's been mind blowing. I had a very static idea of who God was. To hear Tyler talk about his radical acceptance of people, to hear Dallas talk about the sense of sarcasm that Jesus has. So those things come together, and we handle it as delicately as we handle anything in the show. I mean, that the most thought and angst gets poured into how to make Jesus sound, I think, than any other part of the show. And so, to your point, we do handle it delicately, and we handle it through counsel. But these things all spring from Dallas's mind, because we're trying to service his idea for what the show needs to be, for who Jesus needs to be.
So if you don't like it, blame him. That's what I'm hearing.
He can take it.
He can handle it.
He got broad shoulders.
Okay, so another thing that I've noticed that is very interesting about this series in general is the richness of the historical context. The Romans, the Jews, the Jewish factions. This is all backdrop, which drives a lot of the events, the real events that happened. Who's the historical expert here? Both you guys?
It's a team effort. We all have to look at history. I did, for my undergrad, I did study Old Testament and Hebrew, so I had some of this going on from my time at Moody Bible Institute. But we're also very well supported. We study history as we work, but we also have a researcher, Gabrielle. We have a story editor, Maisha, and then we have biblical scholars also. A Messianic rabbi, a Catholic priest, and a Protestant historian and Bible scholar who pore over our scripts with the fine-tooth comb and make sure things aren't out of line. But yes, to your point, it involves a lot of research about not just Judaism is not a monolith. Like, there were these 4 different philosophies within it, very different, very factious, not unfamiliar. If you look at religion today, a lot of different opinions about things. It's not hard to imagine that they would come down on different sides of various issues. And then, yes, Romans. And in season 3 of The Chosen, you can look forward to even more groups. In the Decapolis, this is not a spoiler because it's in the Bible, we start to meet other groups like Syrophoenicians. We meet Gentile groups like Greeks and start to interact with them, and things get even stickier.
It's got to get stickier in writing the script as you continue through the seasons, because it's getting more tense. Mm-hmm. What are the challenges you think to get all the way to season 7, which is kind of the goal?
I mean, one of the ways that I think any writing project can do that, as you move through it, you move halfway through, you move to the 3/4 mark, and you start to go, oh, did we support this earlier on? So a lot of your rewriting, 50% of your rewriting is in that first act, and then you can start to, sort of place things in line. We've done really good outlines, I got to say. So we know where the story is going, and we're using the best source material of all time. So we do know how the story gets progressively more full of conflict. One of the things that's really important about that context of the historical backdrop is to realize that the people who were persecuting Jesus didn't know or believe that he was the creator of the universe. These were largely bureaucrats, people also like us, just trying to do the best for our families, being protective of our little fiefdoms. And so these people were making political decisions. They were making expedient choices for their organizations. And so we're trying to show that tragedy is just as human today. That those things that are obstacles in our way, that are barriers to unity, they existed back then too. And so we have so much to draw on, just even in looking out our windows today. The thing about our stories is that they are outlined. We have the Bible, and so we just try to stay true to what that experience might have been like for our characters going through it. And I think this season, Jesus' theme, "Come unto me," it's all about him moving from his Jewish congregation into the world. Mm.
Very cool. I know this is obviously the best thing you've ever worked on, but how great is it?
Well, for one thing, it's fun. I don't know if people realize this, but adapting the Bible into something, it seems like a very somber affair. And it is. We take it seriously. We don't take it lightly. But we have to have a kind of lightness of spirit in order to find those moments between characters, relationships and stuff. It's fun to look into. And then, I don't know if you were able to spend much time on set yesterday, but being on a movie set or a TV set is fun. You've got all these people working together to achieve one thing. And each person is better than the other, 150 people on set at what they do than anyone else. Everyone is a specialist. Everyone is needed. Everyone is essential. And that is so exciting and fun. And every day is just a joy.
Yeah. Well, speaking for the audience, we love your work, right, guys? Appreciate you guys' time.
Thank you. Thanks for coming in.
We're with Brandon Potter, who plays Quintus on The Chosen. Brandon, good to talk to you.
Hi, Randy. Thanks for stopping by.
So how did you get hooked up with The Chosen?
Oh my gosh, it's kind of a fun story, actually. So I'm pretty sure they were casting a lot of these roles out of L.A., and a local casting director, she suggested to Dallas that he read me for it. And when I showed up, Dallas said, "Okay, so you've read the scripts," and I love the script, right? The writing is terrific, and I thought, this character is going to be a lot of fun. But when I showed him, he said, I don't want to do the usual sort of grape-eating Roman bad guy. So I wonder if we could try something else. And I said, well, what if he's not that sort of lazy, sadistic ruler? What if he's a really hard worker? What if he's a really good bureaucrat? What if he's really into maintaining order in the system and that kind of thing? A proactive person. I said, yeah, let's give that a go. So for the whole audition, we just got to play and experiment. It wasn't like I was trying to match something in his head. We were sort of collaborating on how to make this guy as interesting and as good a foil as possible to everyone else on the show.
Yeah, and that's something I think a lot of people have noticed, because you kind of expect the typical passion play Roman, kind of guy. You almost play him whimsically at times.
Definitely.
Where does that come from?
Well, I think that there's a certain joy in Quintus's life at getting to sort of maintain the status quo, which of course, like Jesus is not into the status quo, so there's friction there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that there is joy and ease in that exercise of power, especially in the first 2 seasons. He gets to sort of exercise his will unimpeded by anyone. In season 3, that changes.
Okay,
yeah.
so you're giving us, things are about to get serious.
Well, there are factions within Rome that he has to deal with. And of course, Christ and his followers are gaining influence, so that's going to give him a little pushback. So, either the nice guy Quintus can compromise and give in, or push back a little bit.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. As an actor, you played Scrooge. Mm-hmm. You played LBJ.
I have, yeah.
Now you're playing Quintus. In my book, all villains. Do you like this role as sort of not the hero, but sort of the other side in the story?
Of course.
Yeah?
Yeah. I love playing bad guys. First of all, they're fun. So, for example, with Quintus, I get to show up to work and be a jerk every day, which, is just kind of fun. And the writing is fun and funny, which is nice. But one of the things I like about playing bad guys, or let's say complicated people, right, is that you have to relate to someone who isn't like you. I don't share the same thoughts or ideologies as Quintus. That's so foreign to me, right? But I get the chance to sort of vacation there or use my imagination. And even more, find something in this bad person that is actually kind of good and easy to relate to.
Yeah, sure.
Like Quintus, for example, isn't altogether all bad. He really, really relates to Matthew and wants to take care of him, in his own twisted way. But I think that is sort of like a fatherly impulse, or even an impulse that comes from what could be his own version of love.
Yeah, no, that's interesting, because unfortunately, we tend to sometimes go into stories with the black and the white. Mm-hmm. It's either all good or all bad, but the complexity there is interesting. You in this for the long haul, all as many seasons as they'll let you be a part of it?
Of course. I love showing up and working with these people every day. I love telling a story that's just meaningful to all the fans. Yeah, I'll stay as long as
How does this compare to other sets you've been on?
It's so incredibly different from other sets that I've been on. This is a big production, right? There's a lot of moving parts. There's a ton of cast. There's a ton of crew. But at this point, we've been together for 3 years, and you sort of get to know everyone in a meaningful way, which is already different than a lot of big sets, which can be sort of anonymous, right? Also, I knew that the show was going to be different when I showed up on day one, just because of the set. You could tell immediately that everyone was deeply, deeply invested in telling this story. And oftentimes in productions this big, they're there to do a job and go home. And with this, folks they're ready to go the long haul.
Good. We're ready to watch the long haul.
Excellent.
Tell me something I don't know. Tell me something nobody knows about. I don't know, the set, I know you can't give away story, so I'm not asking that.
Yeah.
Just a little inside, maybe peek behind the curtain.
Something that is really interesting about this set is that instead of action, Dallas Jenkins, the director, says, "Here we play," which he says, "Here we play."
Here we play. Interesting.
Yeah, which it sort of fosters this spirit of exploration and play and experimentation, so that way the story becomes a collaboration between all the people on set. We're going to try this thing. We're going to give this thing a go, instead of this is my vision, adhere to it. Yeah.
You personally, where does this fit into your career, if you will?
Well, I don't think I know yet, because we're still in the middle of this thing. So right now I'm thinking about doing the best job I can possibly do at this.
Yeah,
and then once we get sort of closer to the end of my journey with it, or the end of the show's journey, then I think I can think about what it means to the rest of my career.
Yeah, well, we look forward to watching.
Right on.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Thanks so much for stopping by, Randy.
That's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed these. We've got more for you. So come back, Live Today Live. More from the cast and crew of Season 3 of The Chosen right here. If you haven't hit share, hit it now. Like, follow, subscribe, and we'll see you again next time on Live Today Live.